Welcome to Temps Passé, where we share some of the most interesting, illuminating and amusing stories from island history. As Jersey looks forward to the forthcoming royal visit, historian Ian Ronayne explores the long-standing and mutually advantageous relationship between islanders and their monarch.
Binding Benefits, celebrating 800 years of history between Jersey and the Crown. The warmth of welcome swiftly dispelled any lingering doubts over islanders' strength of feelings. Despite 5 long years of occupation, the deeply held sense of affection and loyalty towards the royal family clearly remained strong and resolute. King George VI and Queen Elizabeth had chosen to visit Jersey in June 1945, less than a month after liberation. Following the harsh experience of occupation, the royal couple's presence was both timely and uplifting, not just signifying a new chapter in the island's history, but also reaffirming the deep personal bond between islanders and their monarch. This bond was clearly evident as the King and Queen arrived and embarked on a tour of the countryside. Excited, cheering crowds lined the route, people grateful for the prompt and deliberate recognition of wartime hardships endured by islanders. At Government House, where the royal couple enjoyed lunch, there was a weighty symbol of renewed relationships. The King's standard flew proudly from the masthead that until recently had suffered the indignity of a Nazi swastika. In the Royal Square, Bailiff Alexander Coutanche welcomed the King and Queen. Having been left alone to face the occupiers for 5 long years, he could have questioned the future of Jersey's ancient link to the Crown. Yet there was no doubting where his sentiments lay. In a fulsome loyal address, the bailiff underlined a desire to renew to your majesties in person the assurance of the unshaken loyalty and devotion of the people of Jersey. While just a moment in history, the royal visit in June 1945 was hugely significant, nevertheless. It symbolised and renewed a relationship that had begun nearly 750 years earlier. After France captured continental Normandy in 1204, King John of England retained the Channel Islands as important strategic and military footholds. Despite the obvious threat from the nearby and now hostile French coast, the King was determined to hold his last possessions south of the Channel. In recognition of continued loyalty to the English Crown, the King granted islanders the right to self-government under their own laws, with 12 best men selected as jurats for a royal court under the bailiff. The King also vested responsibility for the island, and particularly its defence, to a trusted warden, a role later renamed governor. By tradition, the governor was not a native islander, but a senior military officer possessing assured military experience, leadership and political acumen. The roles and responsibilities demanded such attributes, both defending Jersey against attack and also ensuring islanders were serving and being served by the royal relationship. Within these arrangements and duties, successive monarchs, governors, and later lieutenant governors strongly shaped and influenced Jersey's development over the centuries. Among the most obvious impacts of the Crown's role in protecting and defending the island are Jersey's powerful primary fortresses. Gorey Castle was the first, constructed soon after Normandy's loss in 1204. Tested several times during the medieval period, its stout walls, along with English garrison and local forces, helped frustrate French attempts to seize the island. In 1341, a grateful King Edward III granted a royal charter confirming islanders' right to self-governance and to raise its own taxes. It remains the basis of Jersey's constitutional status to this day. With the development of siege guns, Montorgueil Castle at Gorey began showing its weaknesses. Yet when the order came to demolish the castle in 1600, the governor, Sir Walter Raleigh, mercifully intervened on its behalf, arguing that 'twere pity to cast it down, and thus protecting it for the benefit of future generations. Its replacement was Elizabeth Castle, which remained Jersey's primary fortress for 2 centuries. It resisted a parliamentarian siege in 1651, and helped rebuff a French attempt to seize the island in 1781, an event in which the British commander of local forces, Major Francis Pearson, died while leading his men to victory in St Helier. Recognising the grave threat posed subsequently by Napoleonic France, the Crown commissioned a third great fortress in 1806. Leading Fort Regent's construction was one of Jersey's most energetic and transformative lieutenant governors. During his 8-year tenure, General George Donne constructed not only fortifications. Needing to move troops quickly around the island, he also built a network of main roads, radiating from St Helier and around the coast. These remain enormously beneficial to this day, including the first and aptly named Don Road. Defensive duties notwithstanding, the Crown has also exerted beneficial influence over developing local civil institutions and traditions through the centuries. Royal injunctions extended the English Reformation to Jersey, establishing the Protestant Church in the 16th century as the bedrock of modern religious institutions. Royal commissioners subsequently helped create the role of Dean of Jersey to ensure more enlightened practices. Royal patronage through the governor around this time extended to further education, with the Crown endowing 3 Oxford scholarships for islanders. And later in the judiciary framework by supporting the establishment of 3 important institutions: the Petty Debts Court, Police Court, and a paid police force. Islanders had an important opportunity to return favours to the Crown during the English Civil War. As royalist fortunes ebbed and Oliver Cromwell rose in power in England, Jersey twice provided the future King Charles II sanctuary and protection in Elizabeth Castle. Upon the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, a very grateful King Charles II confirmed the rights and privileges granted to Jersey under earlier royal charters. He additionally gifted a magnificent ceremonial mace in recognition of the island's loyalty. For his part, as governor, Sir George Carteret received a gift of land in the New World for his unstinting loyalty to the king, named the province of New Jersey. King George II later gifted money to construct vital harbour facilities at St Helier and St Oban. Grateful islanders erected a gilded statue of the king in 1751 and also renamed St Helier's Marketplace the Royal Square. A later harbour development was named for a queen who helped reinforce the present-day relationship between monarch and islanders. In 1846, Queen Victoria became the first reigning queen to visit Jersey. In return, islanders demonstrated their respect and affection through the naming of several locations and institutions very familiar today, including Victoria Pier, Victoria College, and Victoria Avenue. In the century that began with Queen Victoria's death in 1901, Britain and Jersey jointly faced the monumental challenge of 2 horrific world wars. When the first began in 1914, the island had an experienced, diligent Lieutenant Governor in place to steady anxieties and ensure Jersey's readiness to support the King and Britain's fight against an aggressive foe. Sadly, General Alexander Rochford never lived to see peace return, dying suddenly in London soon after his retirement in 1916. Circumstances placed the latter successor in a uniquely unenviable position. As the Germans threatened to invade in June 1940, the Lieutenant Governor, General James Harrison, received direct orders to leave Jersey. Any attempt at defence would have been wisely ruled out, the prospect of British victory deemed too low, and the threat of civilian death and destruction considered too high. It remained for the bailiff, as head of Jersey's Civic Society, to lead islanders through the occupation. Thankfully, in Alexander Coutances, they possessed a formidable defender and resourceful organiser. 5 long and very challenging years later, he was there to greet the visiting King George VI and Queen Elizabeth and renew the special, nearly 750-year-old relationship between islanders and their monarch. 8 years later, the coronation of their daughter drew a line under the troubled wartime years. The ascendancy of Queen Elizabeth II to the throne in 1953 presented the whole realm a chance to look positively towards the future. And a resilient and ambitious Jersey seized the opportunity. In the post-war years, tourism and then finance grew and blossomed to underpin today's £5.3 billion annual Jersey economy. This resourceful strategy for long-term prosperity is an excellent example of the power of the island's independent governance underpinned by the ancient rights of royal charter. For an evolving monarchy, recent years have seen subtle adjustments and modernisation in its relationship with Jersey. Yet there has been no diminishment in the commitment of the Crown to supporting the prosperity and interests of islanders. A recent example of this saw Queen Elizabeth II gifting the foreshore and the seabed surrounding Jersey to islanders in 2015, which could have significant financial, conservation and societal benefits for the island in the future. What does the future hold for this relationship between islanders and their monarch? While history importantly signposts the journey taken, the present may best indicate the direction of travel. Today, the Lieutenant Governor remains the monarch's personal representative in Jersey. They possess the authority of the King's warrant to promote and protect the island and assure the monarch of good governance taking place here. Thankfully, the role involves less time concerned with the island's defence compared with earlier predecessors. However, the Lieutenant Governor finds themselves no less busy. Engagement with the community and many island organisations consumes much of the role's day-to-day activities, especially involvement with causes aligning with King Charles's focus on climate, culture and community. Keeping with this commitment, the present Lieutenant Governor and his wife are patrons to well over 150 Jersey charities, in addition to carrying out several executive responsibilities such as citizenship applications and state awards. The Lieutenant Governor and his wife also host numerous events at Government House. In 2023, around 5,500 people attended functions held there, representing a broad cross-section of the local community alongside foreign visitors, ambassadors, politicians and visiting royalty. In 2024, Jersey can be rightfully proud of being one of the King's oldest and assuredly most loyal possessions. As a Crown dependency, the island's constitutional relationship with the UK is not with the Parliament in London, but direct to the monarch as Jersey's head of state. This long-standing arrangement has clearly served both islanders and the monarch well. In an increasingly turbulent and disorientating world, the constancy of this ancient bond will surely be a source of identity, strength and pride in the future. The historic visit of King Charles III and Queen Camilla on 15th of July will serve to underline the longevity and importance of this historic connection. It will also be an opportunity to proudly showcase this exceptional island and its culture, colour and sparkle to the national and international media. For islanders, there will hopefully be the chance within what will surely prove a very busy day to pause and reflect for a moment or two on our shared history with the Crown. To perhaps remember how Jersey and its fortunes have been protected and shaped by that relationship, and to take pride in the dedicated, diverse and vibrant community that we live in today.
Thank you for listening to Temps Passé. This episode was brought to you by Bailiwick Podcasts and the Jersey Evening Post. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. And sign up for a digital subscription with the JEP to get access to its rich online archive and learn more about the island's history. Thanks again for listening.